Alright, what's going on today, YouTube? Welcome back to your favorite cyclist YouTube channel. This week, there's no bike behind me because we're not working on bikes. We're going to be building something today. But before we get on to today's video, if you are new to my channel, make sure you head down below, hit that subscribe button for me. If you already are subscribed, make sure you hit that bell icon right next to that. That way you get notified every time I upload. That way you don't miss any of this awesome cycling content on this channel. So like I said, not working on bikes today, we're going back to building something, and today what we're building is going to be a skinny for your mountain bike. So for those of you who don't know what a skinny is essentially kind of like a balance beam type thing to ride your bike over. Helps you learn balance, kind of a fun little challenge, simple, pretty much anybody can do it. It's kind of the big deal with this. And what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be building that skinny, and the main purpose of this skinny is actually to take to these events that we go to, whether that's Lost and Found, Mountains and Meadows, whatever that may be. That way we can bring this skinny out and kids can have fun riding this thing and just practicing. We can also do some challenges on it because, you know, trying to ride that little mini BMX over in that corner over that skinny, it's going to be tough. So we're not exactly making this a super duper skinny. So I'll tell you some of the specifications of this skinny we're making. So the skinny is going to be 12 feet long. Yeah. 12 feet long. Some of you will think that's long, some of you think it's short. From what I kind of wrote out, I laid some measurements on the floor, wrote out different measurements, and 12 foot seemed like it was going to be pretty good. One of the things I did mention is that it's for these events. I need it to be able to transport this thing. It needs to be able to be movable. Any longer than 12 foot, it's gonna get iffy. And with that being 12 foot, we're actually gonna make this into essentially a two-part skinny. So it's essentially gonna be one long skinny, but we're actually gonna chop the thing in the middle, make it so you can bolt the two halves together. That way you have it in two separate 6-foot segments. Makes it a lot easier to move around. I don't have exactly a 12-foot size pickup bed or anything like that, or a big flatbed trailer. I have my Bronco, and 6 foot's got fit in there pretty good. Might stick out the back a little bit, but 6 foot feels pretty good in there. Worst case, I can throw it on my trailer if we're going there. Just kind of haul it where we're going and then throw it in the truck from there. But 6 foot and 6 foot segments is going to work pretty good for me. And then we'll bolt that sucker together so it's easy to move, a little bit lighter. Don't think this thing is going to be light at all, but it's going to be a little bit lighter, and we'll be able to get it to where we need it to be. So for the top of this guy, like I said, it's not going to be the skinniest thing you've ever seen. So for the top, we're essentially going with 8-foot planks. So I mean 8 foot, it's like that wide. It's not exactly the skinniest skinny out there, but like I said, it's going to be mostly for kids, and again, the fun challenge of trying to ride that mini BMX across the top of it. So 8 feet, so 8 inches, felt like that's a pretty decent number. I kind of put that bike tire up to it, and I was like, yeah, it's not bad. It's like a 2.5 inch wide tire. So like, that's not bad. You know, you could probably do that. I even tried to ride in a straight line, and you know, 8 inches should be pretty good. I think we're gonna be pretty happy with that for especially the purposes we're building this for. So I went yesterday to Home Depot and I picked up our supplies. So I picked up 2 pieces of 2x4x12 pressure treated lumber, so those are going to be your main supports on the bottom. I did go pressure treated because these are going to be on the ground, and I do plan on leaving them out at some of these events, and so it's very possible they're going to get wet, and I want what's touching the ground to be very corrot resistant essentially. So I went pressure treated for the 2 main beams that go across. For the braces in between, I'm going to put, I believe I'm going to go for essentially 4 braces, 1 on each end of the pretty much the 2 segments. So 4 on each of the 6-foot segments I'm going to build. And we're going to use just a 4x4 pressure treated that I have just hanging around. We're just going to use that, put that together. I think that should be more. That's more than what you need, but that's what I kind of have hanging around. We're going to use that for the blocking in between there, and that should give us something solid to bolt the 2 pieces together, as well as hold the ends together. And then for the top, I picked up 2 8x8x8s, so 2 foot or so 2 inch by 8 inch by 8 foot boards. Those are pretty much going to be our decking to go across the top. I've never built a skinny before, so this is going to be a first time for me. Let's go grab the wood. Let's start kind of laying out how we're going to do this, and I'll kind of give you guys a better picture as we go. My wife couldn't picture this in her head. I can picture it. I think it's going to look pretty good if we can make this happen. So let's grab some wood over here, start cutting, start laying stuff out. Let's start building the skinny. There you go. So you guys can see our materials. So there's our big base plates right there. There's our 4x4 we're going to use for blocking, and then our planks for the top there. So you can see it's kind of going to lay out just like this. So essentially we have the 2 side pieces here, and then we're going to have our big blocks of 4x4 in between them, and then we'll use those regular wood for our planks up on the top. Kind of what you see out in, mountain bike trail. So that's kind of what we're going to start with there. So really what we need to do, we need to cut our angles on these first. So we're going to have a ramp on each side of this so that you can get on and off easily. So I think about a foot ramp, we'll see how that looks. and we'll cut those out on there, and then I think after that we'll cut the actual blocking. We'll kind of block 3 or 4 blocks in here to hold it in place, and then I think we start cutting some actual planks for the top. Should be pretty simple actually, but let's go ahead, let's kind of mark out our 1 foot kind of diagonal, see how that looks. Alright, so put this guy, lay it down just like that, pull that guy out. So what we're gonna do, so essentially we want this to kind of have a ramp up on both sides, so this side as well as that side, that way you can ride on and off of this thing relatively easy. So what I'm thinking is about 1 foot, kind of what I'm thinking there. So let's go for like 12 inches right there, and then if we stick this guy here, kind of line that up to our bottom corner and our mark, if we draw our line across, yeah, I think that should be pretty good. So our line's right there, so that'll pretty much mean cutting that off, and that'll give us a nice little ramp up to it without being super aggressive, but not being like a weak little lineup. I think that should work pretty good. So what we gotta do is we just gotta mark the same line out. We'll do 1 foot on each of these. That way they each have that foot mark. So we need to mark it on this board as well. I'm gonna measure 1 foot out all the way down. There we go. There is our cut line on that side. We've got to do the same over on the other side, and then we just gotta cut that sucker off at that good angle there, and that'll be our 1 foot mark on each side. Got to make sure we do it on the right side too, otherwise we're really gonna mess it up. So that should work. So let me go mark the other side, then we'll cut this guy out here. So we got him marked there, got him propped up on this 4x4. So now we've got to do our circular saw, level that sucker out. We're just gonna 4x4 back just a hair. There we go. That should get us nice and level. There we are. All right, then we just got to line up about as good as we can get on there, and go to town cutting this. Try and get as straight as we can on here. Oh, it doesn't go all the way through. There's our problem. That's okay. That'll work. There's one. You can kind of see our little ramp up we got there. Should work pretty good there. Go ahead and do the same thing with the other 3. Can start putting some other stuff together. All right, so we got all of our ramps done, so those 2 and those 2. So now it's time to start working on this 4x4 here. So with my ultra precise calculations here, this 4x4, it should make about 4-inch long segments on here. So cut 4-inch blocks off of here. Then we have 4 inches in between here. So we're gonna need 4 of them is what I want to start off with. Essentially 1 for this end, 2 for the middle, and then 1 for the other end. So pretty much where we split it. So that'd be 4 total pieces. So that's what we're gonna start with. So let's go ahead and measure off 4 inches here. It's gonna be right here. All right, let's cut this 4-inch block off. Then we'll measure another 4-inch one. Problem I have is my circular saw won't cut through this all the way. I know that for a fact, just because of the size of it. Even if I go all the way around this, it'll actually leave a small bit in the center still. So, kind of a pain. But we got a big old sawzall blade, so we're just gonna go ahead and chop right through here, attempt to make this as straight as possible. Again, perfection is not the goal here, so you know. So let's go ahead, stick a foot on there. That guy will work. So essentially this guy's gonna go right in here and just block that out just a little bit so that we can put our 8-inch planks on the top. So we just gotta make 3 more of those guys. And then we could actually pull the screws and start having some fun. Put this thing together and start having it make shape. All right, blocks are all cut. Your 4-inch blocks right there. Just gonna throw them down throughout the whole thing real quick. So we can kind of keep our spacing good. Perfect. All right. So just like that. So there's our blocks right there. They're pretty much all the way down. 4-inch block. What we're going to do is we're going to attempt to line this up best we can. Bingo, right there. It should be low enough. I think we're pretty even. All right. Just basically pull screws out. So we got some just 3-inch deck screws here. Nothing crazy, mainly for the top boards, but 3 inches should get us enough. Oh yeah. Just suck that guy in. Should work great, I think. So let's see. So let's go ahead. So yes, I think we're just gonna go do like one screw for the start off. There's one. Let's move down to the other side, and then we'll knock out the middle ones. So kind of put this same place just inside that, right there. Perfect. And then we'll throw a screw in each of these. Even just those two hold it pretty good. But we're gonna do our blocking in the middle. So essentially we need to mark out 6 foot, because these are 12-foot boards, mark out 6 foot, and then we will put one on each side of that 6-foot mark so we can bolt them together at the end. Where will my 6-foot mark go? Right here. Okay. So use that as our mark there. So what we're gonna do is get this guy and the other guy right on that 6-foot mark, or right there. So what we're gonna end up doing is cutting this right here. But I want the support here first, and then we can cut through. So I might even leave a little bit of a gap in there so I can get the saw blade in. Go ahead and throw a screw, throw some screws in here, throw one in each of these, and then we'll go around and smack the rest with. Okay, got the basic structure down. I'm gonna go throw in another screw in each of these, so there's 4 screws total for each block. I feel like that should be pretty solid, keep them from spinning, keep them from moving. And then we'll start cutting some planks for the top. Should be pretty cool. We're almost getting to the fun part here. Okay, so got everything super secure, 4 screws into each of these blocks here. Now this is the part where if you're just making this for your yard or whatever, you don't need to take apart. You can skip this part. You don't gotta do this part. For my case, we're trying to make this portable. So like I said, we're gonna cut this in half here. So I need a way to, but I want a way to secure it back together so it's super solid at the place. Obviously it's kind of liability if it's not. So one day when I went to Home Depot, I bought these giant 1/2-inch bolts here. These are 8-inch long bolts, pretty much to go through these 2 4x4s. Again, you don't have to use the 4x4s, it's just what I had laying around, but essentially they're gonna go like this through here. I could do one, it would probably work, probably be okay. I don't know how I feel about one. I feel like it might twist, so I'm thinking going 2. Pretty much have them facing opposite directions, kind of like this. I got these big old washers on here, so essentially we're gonna go 1/2-inch hole all the way through this sucker, and I think that should work. So I went ahead and I marked lines kind of where I want the bolts to be. We'll get them centered on these blocks here, and then we'll get, I don't even know if I have a big enough drill bit to do that. We'll figure out what kind of drill bit we have and if it's long enough. If not, we'll drill the hole, start drilling the hole through, and then cut, and then finish drilling through the other side. Okay, so that's kind of my plan there, and then we got lock washers and nuts for the other side, so when I get to the event, we can bolt this whole thing together, flip it on its side, bolt it all together, flip it back over, and it is a super sturdy, skinny. Again, not necessary. I just want this thing to be super sturdy for the, for the kids and people at these events. I don't want it to fall apart, but I need it to be portable because it's too big at 12 feet. It's huge. It takes up pretty much where my wife's car goes, is how long it is. So yeah, so let me go find a 1/2-inch drill bit, let me see how long it is, and then we'll drill these holes out. Alright, so we went in and got our 2 holes drilled, somehow, magically, but we got 1 bolt, goes right through there. Other bolt goes right through this side, nice and easy. Boom. Still some sawdust in that one, that's okay. They go like that. Washer, lock washer, and nut on the other side. This sucker ain't going anywhere. That's all. Those are nice. Those are all the way through. Yes. All right. So with those in, I think I want to cut this. That's what I want to do next. I think I want to go ahead and cut straight through this. That way it's separate. I can use those bolts to hold together and see how that works. And we're going to go straight down that line there, just right there. Right, there we go, totally separate now. We can, well, this goes way up. Go, just like that. Throw our bolt through. See how simple this is? All right. That bolt's in, lock washer, nut. Heck yeah. Yeah, it's got a little movement, that's because they are not tight. So let me tighten them up, see how well this actually worked, and then we get started on planks. So 2 19mm, and it's like that thing isn't even separate. That's what I wanted. I didn't want it to even feel like it was two separate pieces. Yes, all right. So it's time to start cutting some planks. We can start laying them down. We got a lot of planks to cut. So when we cut a plank, we'll see how it fits, and then we will cut a bunch of planks to do this whole top of this 12-foot span here. All right, so we got our plank board here. So this is a 2x8, also not known as a 2x8. It's actually 7 1/4 inches wide. So you can see it actually fits on there pretty solid. So I had thought about just covering the whole top like this. And while I could do that, I kind of want it to look like planks. I think that's cooler. So we're actually going to cut planks out. They're essentially this big. So essentially 7 1/4, because what we're going to do is we're going to lie these planks the other way. So they'll be like this all along here. And then on the end we'll use this as essentially a ramp up and be able to trim off what we need to make this work. Yeah, I don't think it's going to make that big of a difference. So yeah, let's do this. Let's do 7 1/4 planks. So let's cut this one out. We'll lay it down, see how it looks. Screw that sucker in, and we'll start spacing them out, cut some more out too. So I'm gonna kind of set that there. So here's our plank. So since we're gonna stick them right here, just like so. Yeah, I'm gonna get a blade. Okay, this is gonna go just like so. And that will be pretty much the top of our skinny all the way down. So let's go right to the end. We'll screw this guy down, make it look pretty good, and then I'm gonna get a blade while battery's charged. Hopefully the new blade helps a bunch. I'm betting that blade is just done. I've had that blade for 8 years. Yeah, 8 years, so not super surprised. But let's lay this at the end, screw it down, see how it looks. Now move on from there. So just like that, we screwed that guy in, 4 screws. It's not going anywhere. So pretty much we'll have that ramp come up to this, and then from there we'll just space them off every, I don't know, we'll give them some space. We'll give them some space here. That way there's space between them so they can shrink and expand as they need to, but you'll still have that plank kind of look to it. That's what I'm thinking. So I'm gonna get a new saw blade, and I'll be back once batteries cooled in. Once batteries charge and tools cool down a little bit. So there we have it. We got another board cut. You guys kind of get the picture now. Some, you know, got those set there. 3/4 inch gap. Tire's not gonna fall in there. Water should still be able to go through there. If it gets wet, whatever, should be able to go through there, no problem. So we're pretty much gonna keep this pattern going and do the 7 1/4 all the way down this thing. We're gonna cut a bunch of them out real quick, and then we will, then we'll start screwing them all in once we have a bunch cut, and then we can start working on these end pieces, which are gonna be a little bit more to them, but shouldn't be too bad at all. So let's finish the top, move on from there. All right, so we got all the top planks on. Looks freaking solid, man. All right, had to trim a little bit off of that last one. It's not quite 7 1/2. We had to trim off, I don't even know where my Alexa that piece went. Oh, it's right there. There you go. It's maybe an inch off of that last one. So we'd have to trim like an inch off. Now we get to do our super scientific math here. We got to figure out the end pieces. So essentially what we're going to have is pretty much the 2x4. They're going to kind of come up like this. And the top will cut off even with it if we even need to. We'll cut the top off even, and the bottom we'll have it go a little farther so we can cut it off flat with the ground. Make sense? Kind of? Maybe? I don't know. Alright, so we need to flip this thing on its side. First time actually having to pick it up or move it. So let's see. Move you out of the way. Okay, so let's go. I guess I'm just curious. Let's pick this thing up. That's actually not half bad. That has the weight I feel like I need for it to not flop over. So like I said, so essentially we're going to take a board and kind of butt it up against here. It's kind of the plan. And then come down an extra 2 inches maybe? Because then we can cut the bottom flush. Well, let's come at 14 and then we can kind of trim it from there. And they should realistically be about the same on both sides. So let's do 14, see how through it and see where that gets us real quick. So we cut a 14-inch board. All right, so we got our board cut 14 inches. We don't even got to touch the top. Yes, that's perfect. That's perfect amount of spacing right there. I like that. And then once we screw it down, just come through here and right even with the base. Dude, yes, that looks awesome. Here we go. We got it all put together. That's kind of iffy. I'm not sure about what I feel about that little point there. Might cut that off. Who knows? But there's that there. Comes all the way across. Nice even. We'll clean up the edges here in a second. And it comes down on this side. Obviously our second one's a little cleaner than the first one, but there you go. I like it. It looks good. I think it's now time to fully test it. We tested it a couple times just with that one, make sure it actually worked before we did this whole thing. So now it's time to ride the whole thing and roll off the other side. It's definitely a tricky skinny. You don't think 8 inches is that small, but when you're on there, it feels small. So let's hit it with the mountain bike first, and then we'll hit it with mini BMX and see how it goes. I think we're good on the mountain bike, but mini BMX is definitely a little trickier to do, but that's part of the challenge of this whole skinny setup. So let's put you guys on a tripod, let's give it a shot. Yeah, buddy. Always doable. Just this little ramp curve up, there's a little ramp up here. It's part of the tricky thing of this with the mini BMX, but it's totally doable. The mountain bike feels great doing it. So I'm happy with that. That works good, I like it. And it's super solid, like that's not going anywhere. Awesome. So let's go ahead, I'm gonna grab my saw, I'm just gonna clean up the edges on here real quick. I think we're gonna lop this little piece off here. This just ended up breaking somewhere. So we'll lop that off, clean up the edges, and I think we're gonna add a little bit of paint to it. We got orange and gray, you know, for your favorite cyclist colors. So I think we're gonna paint like every other. Just make it look cooler, I think. I think that'll look kind of cool, kind of neat. Should I just, ooh, there we go. So do one side here, do like this one orange, that one gray, so you can keep track of what side you go up of. Yeah, I like this idea. Because I don't want to paint the whole thing. I think it looks really cool, natural, and I want to leave it look like that, but throw orange and gray on those two blocks there. I think it'll look cool. I think it'll look cool. But let's go turn up the edges. Then we'll do a little painting project, I guess. So there we have it. There's our 12-foot skinny. Really comes out to like 10 foot is actually what you're on, but all the way then 12 foot each way, 8-inch wide. I think it's gonna work really good. It's gonna be fun to use at some events that we have coming up. Got Mountains Meadows coming up. By the time you guys see this, Mountains Meadows will probably be over with, but if you're there, you'll see the skinny we built. If not, come out to some of our events we do. We go help out with Lost and Found, do the kids race, we help out Mountains to Meadows. Right now we're in the Kidz Zone. We got all sorts of cool stuff coming up. So come out to see some of this cool stuff here. This is our second wood project we've ever built. The first one was the family ramp a couple years ago. I still have that, still works good. This one's a lot more beefy. I think we learned a lot from that first one, and we're making things beefier than they should be, and this one definitely fits the bill. So if you guys want to see more building stuff on the channel, more like, you know, skinnies, ramps, that kind of stuff, let me know. I'm kind of interested in building it. It's kind of fun to build it. It did take like an afternoon to build this, few hours. So we got it built though, it's fun. It works good. I'm happy to have this. This is gonna be fun to use, fun to demonstrate some bikes and try bikes on. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, give this video a big thumbs up. Appreciate the support. I'm gonna have everything I used to build this down in the description below so you can build one for yourselves. If you have any comments or questions, let me know down in the comment section below. Love talking to you guys, love answering any questions you have, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching today.